Good morning, my friends. I just wanted to share some thoughts with you about raising a son. I am a son myself. I have one son, and through the years, I've learned some things from my father, and I've hopefully taught some things to my son. I think with each generation, there becomes more openness and, I don't know, somewhat better parenting because I know my dad's father, my grandfather, was not a very good dad. Did really not spend any time with my dad. The only thing he really taught him was a good work ethic, which is one of the biggest things I learned from my father. Um, I had a great father. He was a great man in many ways, maybe not the father that I had maybe wanted, but he was a hard worker. He recently died, and I think he did his best to be a father because he never had a good father. And then when I parented, I felt like I was a little better father, but I was pretty focused on work. We built a huge business. I worked full time at our church, and I tried to be a good father to my son. And of course, you would have to ask him, but he turned out pretty good. So I think the evidence is clear if you've raised a good child or not. So I remember an episode of Family Guy when they were complaining about their children, and Lois said, "Wow, Peter, we sure rolled 3 gutter balls on these children." I thought that was funny. Anyways, these are just some things that I've learned and seen on the internet, and I wanted to share with you and see if they could be of help. So the first one, something you want to teach your son. Never shake a man's hand sitting down. And all that means is just when somebody enters the room, stand up and greet them with a firm handshake. I was not a big handshaker growing up because my father was more casual and blue collar, but a good handshake. That's a pretty easy one. So next is, I love this one. Um, don't enter a pool by the stairs. And I have to laugh because when I was still married, we were staying in a hotel, and there was like a full group of people sitting in the hot tub at the hotel pool. And I love a good hot tub. It's very relaxing and prefer not to be in there with a bunch of other people, but I entered the hot tub by the stairs, and I slipped and I fell into the hot tub with everybody in there laughing. So don't enter a pool by the stairs or a hot tub. Next, let's see. In a negotiation, never take the first offer. And I guess this is somewhat the art of the deal, but usually there's a better offer. Let me give you an example. I had to have the muffler on my car replaced recently, and I said, "How much is it going to be?" And the guy said, I think it was $1,100. And I said, $1,100 for a muffler? That's crazy. I said, "What can you do to get the price down?" And he said, "Well, let me see, and I'll do some numbers." I was able to get it for 800 just by asking. So things are more negotiable than you think. I sometimes think salesmen get like some kind of commission if they sell it at full price, but there's almost always a better deal to be had. I really like this one, and I've tried to do the best I can because people these days, men and women, don't keep secrets. If somebody tells you something, keep it to yourself. So I think that's very important. This one is good to teach your son or your daughter. Return a borrowed car with a full tank of gas. I have to also laugh at this one because when I was working at a church in Illinois, my boss, who was the pastor, had an old truck. And at that point, I didn't have a truck, so occasionally I would borrow it. And I was always respectful and filled the tank. But this thing took like $120 of gas. So it hurt a lot more than you would think to fill the tank of that truck. But I did it because it was the right thing to do. And he always said, "Hey, Sean, do you want to borrow my truck?" Next. And I like this one as a musician for sure. Play with passion or don't play at all. When I'm up there behind that piano, I give it all I've got. And I play with gusto. I'm not just going to sit up there and not put everything into it. A lot of times when I play for church, people are like, "Why are you so sweaty?" Because for me, it's a full workout. I take it seriously and I play with passion. I like this one, and it's not one that you think of, but a good thing to teach your son is to always protect your siblings. And I have one sibling, and we're not really very close. We were like 12 months apart growing up, so I think we were a little too close. We fought all the time. But when I had some hard times in my life, my sister was there for me. She came and helped my parents when I was in a bad situation, and I'll never, ever forget that. Also, my son, I have two kids. I have a son and a daughter, and my daughter's been through kind of the scenic route of life and has had times when she struggled with different things. And I'll tell you, I was so proud of my son for stepping in to help his sister. And she would say the same thing. She's grateful for her brother. So always protect your siblings. I already said that one. I like this one. If you need music on the beach, you're missing the point. I think that's true. This one's good. To teach your son, if you marry the girl, you marry the family. And wow, is that true? When I got married, and I was married for 20 years, we had a good marriage, and she came from a great family. They supported us. We lived with them for a year. I would not recommend that for any family. If you're going to go live with your family, no, just don't do it. Get like a tent or something, but they are great people. My ex-wife's father has since passed, but her mother is still alive and very wise. And I mean, if you want to see what your wife's going to look like when she gets older, look at her mother. All right. Never be afraid to ask out the best looking girl in the room. And I always preach this to my son. You know, you're just as good looking as the next guy, and I am average looking, maybe a little bit above average, but I was never afraid to ask out the best looking girl, and often they said yes, because most people are afraid and don't ask them out, so why not be the one? Never turn down a breath mint. If somebody is offering you a breath mint, it could be because you need it. Next, eat lunch with the new kid. I am a firm believer in this, and this is a great way to make friends. I always try to befriend the new kid because often they don't have any friends. And I've been in a town when I'm new and I don't have any friends, and I've always appreciated that. Oh, this one is great. Had I lived by this my whole life, I could have saved myself a lot of grief. After writing the angry email, read it carefully, then delete it. I love this one. And had I done this in many situations, I would probably have been much better off. It's okay to write it and read it, but don't send it. Next, manners make the man or the woman, this can go both ways, just be polite. I think manners are a lost art. I think they should teach manners. They really should teach manners and say, listen, son, open the door for this lady. I don't care if she's woman's lib or whatever, or open the door for another guy. I don't care who it is. If it's an alien, if they're walking into the building, be nice. This is also a good one. Give credit, take the blame. Don't try to take all the glory for yourself, unless you truly did it all, but still, be willing to take the blame if something goes wrong, and give credit when something goes right. This one is very, very good. Stand up to bullies, protect those who are bullied. Teach this to your son. I was bullied incessantly in high school, not in elementary school, but when people realized I was different, that I played the piano and that I didn't go hunting and fishing all the time. I grew up in Pennsylvania, and if you were not a hunter, you were automatically a homosexual. So I didn't want to go out and kill a deer. Plus, it was so boring. We would always go out there and not ever see anything, and it was so boring. So I went shopping with my mother. So I don't care. You are who you are. I mean, I didn't want to do that. Write down your dreams. That's a good one. Don't just think them, write them down. Remember, at times the rain must fall for us to appreciate the sun. I will say in my life that has been true. They say the lower the valley, the higher the mountaintop. And wow, God has proved that time and time again. But teach that to your son. Teach it to your kids. You are going to go through hard times. This is life. This is not heaven yet. Be confident and humble at the same time. This is a fine line, and often I or others are accused of being arrogant, and arrogance is a fine line with confidence. I think as a man, you have to show confidence. If you walk into a room and you're confident with yourself, people will know, and they'll follow you. But just not a fake confidence. I mean, be confident in the things that you do well. If I walked into the room here and the ladies were playing mahjong at the church, I would not be confident because I don't know the game. I'm not going to roll in there and say, well, I'm going to bet $100. I'd like to maybe learn it someday because that's always good to learn new things, but be confident about the things that you're good at. But be humble. Don't brag. Let other people brag about you. And the best thing to do, I've found, when somebody says what a great job you're doing, is just say thank you. And often those people who are the most supportive will later be the most critical. This is one of my favorites, and I have had to learn this the hard way, but when I learned it, oh wow, people respect you. Apologize and man up. I'm going to give an example. When I was younger, I worked for Marathon Oil. It was based out of Findlay, Ohio, and then I transferred to Cleveland to be a marketing representative, which I loved. I've had so many good jobs in my life. God has really blessed me with great jobs. But I had a boss there. His name was Jack Grant. And I think until that time in my life, I really didn't know how to apologize. And I had submitted a proposal. We had to all do like a mock proposal. And it just really wasn't up to snuff. And instead of just admitting it and apologizing, I tried to blame my ex-wife. I said, well, she typed it, and I don't think she typed it right. And that made him really mad. And he said, listen, you need to learn when you're in the wrong to say you're sorry. Don't blame it on your wife. Don't blame it on somebody. Apologize and man up. And wow, was that a great lesson. Every time, people respect it. Even if you don't totally feel like you were wrong, especially in a relationship like with a spouse, just say, I'm sorry. Those words are healing words. And wow, I learned this the hard way. I wish I had learned it a lot earlier in life, because it's so much easier to make excuses, just say, well, I didn't know, blah, blah. Just say, I messed up. I'm sorry. And that can be a great thing to teach a child, a son, a daughter, early in their life. And the last thing you want to say, and I like this, if in doubt, remember whose son you are and refuse to just be ordinary. First of all, my heavenly Father is God. So I know that I was created in his image. He doesn't make junk. And then God eventually created my father. And my father was not perfect. My mother will say that he was, but he wasn't. I don't think I'm the son he really wanted, and I don't think he's the father that I really wanted, but as I've lost him 2 years ago, I so much appreciate the man that he was. He was very short. I think he was like 5'3". I'm almost 6 foot. My mom's 5 foot even. My sister, I think, is like 4'11". So I always say about my dad, he was the tallest short man I ever knew, which in my mind, he was a great man. And wow, was he loved in the community. He was still working when he passed at age 79. He drove a coal truck. He was in the truck. He died in the truck instantly. Left that morning, kissed my mother goodbye. Everything was okay. And everybody knew he would die in his truck because he loved to truck. And I was proud of that. He built a business. He made a ton of money. And he inspired me to be an entrepreneur. Like I said before, my ex-wife and I owned a gas station for 10 years, and it was super successful. And the only reason I sold it is because we got divorced, and I didn't want to continue a family business without half of the family. But my father, when he died, I have never seen anything like it. It was like, I'm sorry, it's just a little emotional. It was like a hero's funeral. He lived in the same town his whole life and drove truck for, I don't know, maybe 60 years. And when he died, and in Pennsylvania they do this, they had a convoy of coal trucks and other trucks that went through the town in front of the funeral home and honored him. And I've never seen anything like it. I was so proud. I just stood out there and cried. I'm sorry. It was such an honor. And then my mom and my sister and I and the rest of the family stood there in the funeral home and greeted people for 4 hours straight. I've never seen a funeral like that in my whole life from my own father. And I was so proud. I'm sorry, I just haven't talked about it much. I was so proud to have been his son. He was loved by so many people. When you're still working at age 79, everybody thought my dad was their best friend. Everybody thought that he was their best friend. He had so many people, and it was great to meet them. They all had different nicknames because they were truckers. There was Big Bear, there was just a bunch of different names, Speed Wheel, or I don't even know. But, and I was honored also that my ex-wife came and sang for the funeral, because about 2 weeks, I don't know, 2 months or something before my dad died, he asked my ex-wife, Stephanie, if she would sing at his funeral, and she did. And it was so special. Even though I've gone through divorce, we've been good co-parents, and she is still there for me when I really need her. And I will never forget that she drove 10 hours to be there. So all I'm saying is, do your best to leave a legacy for your son and teach him as many things as you can. All right, my friends, this one got a little long and a little emotional, and I really apologize. I didn't mean to be like that, but my dad was a great man, and he did teach me a lot of things by example, and he was loved by so many, and I guess I was lucky that I even got a small part of that. So, love the ones that you're with, because you never know, and I miss him every day, even after 2 years, and I pray for my mom because he was so special to her. All right, I'm enough of being a big crybaby. I just wanted to share these things. If they can help you, please subscribe, and like, and make a comment about your father. I really love doing these videos, and I know they're not always the best quality, but I'm gonna get better. So, all right, blessings, my friends. Have a great day.